So who else is hungover like me? Nice, okay, nice, cool. So in early 2025, NVIDIA reached out to me to feature my work from my Symbiont World series for Earth Day 2025, which is on April 20th. And it was a great opportunity to reach a broader audience with my own IP. So besides client work, family obligations, sleep deprivation, stylistical changes, technical difficulties, I set out to create a short film. So I took inspiration from actually my kids and their pure joy of creating and their resilience. And I channeled 16 years of professional experience and 11 years of exploring Symbiont World into a 3-month sprint to create this 2-minute short film, and let's watch it right now. Thank you, thank you. So, thank you. We don't have time. That was Bereneko riding on a robotic manta ray, exploring how to make our Earth habitable again. And, I'll show you how I created this film. So a few words about the dude speaking right now. That's me. So I'm Jimmy Duda. I've been working, as I said, professionally for 16 years. Mostly as a concept artist, but also as a storyboard artist, color script artist, 3D generalist, previs, tech-viz artist, art director, and I even directed some stuff. So I was fortunate enough to work on some awesome projects over the years, like Disney Lorcana, Destiny 2, Sonic 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, a bunch of Marvel movies and projects that are still under NDA, and of course a lot of cancelled stuff. So not all of those projects were planned, but all of them led me to creating, all of these experiences led me to creating my short film. But Symbiont, what? So Symbiont World is my own IP that I started creating in 2014. I recently became a father then, and I was on vacation with my daughter and my wife, and we were driving through Cornwall, England, and we visited Project Eden. That's like a huge biodome with plants from all the climate zones, and it was like a nice feeling, like a mix of anxiety, but also hope for the future, and somehow I wanted to express that. So I painted my very first Symbiont World illustration, and that's actually my wife, photoshopped in there. So she was the hero of the first illustrations. And soon more illustrations followed. People reacted very positively to that. I thought I was onto something. So in Symbiont World, multiple devastating ecological mistakes of the civilizations that came before made 96% of the planet uninhabitable. Humanity, on the very brink of extinction, finally realizes it needs to stop exploiting the environment, cherish it, and embrace it fully. So Symbiont World is a century-long project of all humanity to reclaim the destroyed and lifeless parts of what once used to be Earth. Like this ark that is transporting the most important resources, nature itself. And then they land in uninhabitable lands and start reclaiming it. So Symbiont World is about exploring lost civilizations and finding old and evil technology and fighting the bad guys, like who harvest Earth's resources without thinking about the consequences. Nothing like in today's world, right? So I can combine a lot of my interests in Symbiont World, like nature, especially sea life, technology, sustainability, engineering, storytelling, and of course, world building. But wait, you might wonder, where's the stylized stuff? So it's kind of here. For most of my career, I used to work in VFX companies like Trickster and MPC. So my personal art reflected that style. But then in 2024, I started freelancing for one of my favorite clients, the trading card game Disney Lorcana. Still everything under NDA, but this is some personal work that is, in terms of styles, much more aligned with what I would create for Disney. So working with this vibrant, heavily stylized look, it allows me to express a different side of me. It just felt natural that Symbiont World should reflect that, and like you see in the costume designs for my main protagonists here. And then this happened, like I said in the beginning. Early this year, NVIDIA reached out to me, and they wanted to feature some of this eco-friendly Symbiont World work for a feature they did on Earth Day 2025. So that was a freaking energy boost. So my answer, yes, of course. So this is actually a screen grab from the conversation on Instagram. So, and I said, not only can you feature my work, but I will have a whole animated short film ready in 3 months, like that you can show and feature. Like, I'm like 80% finished, trust me. When in reality I had this, like one half-finished scene, no sound, nothing is animated. I mean, the timeline is moving, but nothing else is, right? So this is already animation. And worst, no story. So a very bad thought dawned on me. Now I really have to make this. A complete short film with animation, editing, everything. The classic artist mistake of overpromising. So I developed a 3-point program to tackle such an enormous task. Panic, cheating, and giving up on my dreams. So, thank you. And that was my talk. Thank you. No, giving up on my dreams. Actually, just catchy phrases. It just means reducing the scope, right? We all have those great visions in our head we want to do and tackle, but I reduced my scope a lot from what I wanted to achieve. But and by cheating, I mean utilizing everything that I already had. Like I had a bunch of half-finished scenes that went nowhere. But I could steal those assets that I had, like those windmills and the water shader and some workflows that I established over the time, or those solar panel flowers that I built, but they never went into anything else, so they were lying on my hard disk. I was also looking for ideas like this, like the sketch of like floating orbs of water, anomalies in the sky. And riders on robotic animals, and space whale ships, because I love space whale ships. And so with all those ideas, it was and gathered material, it was time to become the one-man studio. So boom, full production mode. Like that's what we're most used to. But to me, I was quickly overwhelmed with all of that in one master scene and stuff like that. So especially since it's such a crazy deadline I set for myself, came in close in rapidly, and client work and family. So I cannot show you all the tips and tricks here, but I lived by a golden rule overall. It was divide and conquer. So I started with what I knew best. Just do some concept art first. Like I take a screen grab and start overpainting my scene. to just get it out of my system, the vibe that I want from it. I started quickly adding basic assets and ideas, like those orbs, finding cool camera angles, and then overpainting these. So I knew I wanted to have like waterfalls and mist. And with all this concept art, I started assembling an animatic with these sketches, and I even created a short little map, for like a mind map, but also a literal map. We start here basically on the left, like the home island of our protagonist. This is the path that she takes. She passes some like the solar flowers. She passes the wind turbines, which are kind of like the edge of the village that she grew up with. She meets Whaley, the little robotic sidekick, because you gotta have a cute little sidekick. That's golden rule of animation. And she passes like the ruins, the sunken roads. She sees those space whale ships that are all like going to this anomaly. And maybe you guess it looks kind of like a teaser for something more. So everything is pointing towards those anomalies. But who is that girl? Who is Bereneko? So my real daughter's name is Berenike, and she's basically the inspiration for her. Like, she loves science, she loves technology, but she also loves, obviously, nature, and especially water. I mean, she goes in the freaking ocean in the winter, and she said, "Come on, Dad, come on, let's," like, no, it's too freaking cold for me. She wants to be a marine biologist, and but she also loves cats, especially our 2 cats that we have. And Neko is a cat in Japanese, so Berenike, Neko, and, well, Bereneko. So I had my protagonist, but that wasn't so clear from the beginning. Like I said, like, the first version looked like this. And, I was really scared of this super tight deadline of 3 months. So my first idea was just create a very generic character. Like, don't do anything hard, no face, just put a hood on her, no mouth, no hair, no rigging. I don't have time for that. But so how do I make this character interesting? Because Eevee is such an awesome instant feedback loop tool, I could like explore many color variations, but I quickly realized like this is not the color palette that I want, and it's like doesn't fit it. So I thought, okay, I actually love sculpting. That's one of the things why I started 3D at all. So I did sculpt the face, but that's it. No more details. No fancy hair, no iris, no pupil, no rigging, no animation, no speculas. I don't have time for that. Okay, screw it. I'm painting like the details in directly in sculpt mode. It was faster than I thought. But definitely the eyes will not move, the hair will not move, no rigging, no animation. I don't have time for that. Okay, so maybe just make the eyes move a tiny bit, like here, like barely visible, like means 300% zoomed in. It's such a tiny thing, but it was so important for me. It like gave so much character to it, and was kind of fun and easier to set up than I thought. But definitely, the hair will not move. You guessed it, I don't have time for that. Okay, whatever. Long hair, it moves. It's basically just simple geometry with a displacement modifier that is animated with noise. And, it's only moving in the z-axis. And I painted a simple vertex group to determine that the root of this geometry doesn't move, just the ends. So yeah, I didn't save any time on her, but I thought that that's the focal point of it. Otherwise it would look just lifeless. So, but which part were efficient then? Let's talk about this jrpg look, the stylized look. So maybe you know this game, Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I played it a ton with my kids. We solved a lot of puzzles in there, and was like actually a great, how do you say it? It was actually great. It brought us closer together as a family, especially in COVID when we couldn't go outside as much. It was like kind of like a lifesaver. And I also fell in love with this art style, with the stylized anime-inspired art style. So how do we achieve that in Blender? How do I create this? I mean, the sky color is super important actually for this anime look. And I know it's super basic, but just plug in sky texture. Okay, it already looks better. And just plug in this huge saturation node and make everything super saturated. And it's like already like halfway there. And I love that in Blender you can basically plug in everything into everything and somehow make sense. So I also fell in love with the Live Compositor, tweaking, colors, the saturation, adding a Kuwahara filter, getting rid of some details, and a tiny bit of glare on top. Boom. So what you see is what you get, obviously, in Eevee. And I was working mostly like this, animating like this, adding assets like this. And I love this approach in Blender because, you see what you see is what you get. And so for the stylized environments, simplicity and shape language is key, especially for stylized. So the islands were just like one object, a tiny bit of sculpting on top, with a shader that separates the X, Y, and Z values and of the normals. And, so the grass is always on top, the stones are always on the side, and I just rotated around and, populated my whole scene with that. And also it helped a lot with shape language consistency, and it was like super fast to do. So for the trees and the grass on the manta ray, and actually for the clouds too, very simple shader setup. I mean, these are spheres, like just simple spheres with some extra polygons added to it, just scattered around. And I basically get rid of the normals with this awesome normal node, and you create a mask basically for it. So you only have the strong light source, you have a lit side and a shadow side, so it's all instantly a more graphic anime look. So you colorize this mask then, or use it like to blend some shaders, or just flat colors, like you see here. And voila, that's it. You have like you can see it here. Background trees, like just spheres, but it works, and super efficient, super low poly. You can like animate everything in real time. So, but how do I animate those waves? So my usual workflows for still images, they just don't work. And I wanted them to be fancy, make them alive. So I wanted to have everything in one object, like an elegant but quick and easy drag and drop solution, right? Don't we all? But that is not how life works sometimes. So you see me attempting GeoNodes here. It was cool, but the performance got slow, and I was like way too overwhelmed with the GeoNode setup, and I have the most crazy respect for everybody that even attempts GeoNodes. So I wanted to have also like a more painterly feel that I could control myself with what I knew. So I had to learn a whole new thing, Grease Pencil, right? So once again, divide and conquer. One separate scene, which is easier to handle. Don't get overwhelmed. Just focus on the splatters and the waves, and it's much more intuitive for me and forgiving than GeoNodes, right? Also great modifiers. The only problem is you can get carried away easily and overdo it, like I did. I wanted just to test the waves, but I just quickly created a whole scene with an orca and her cub, all feeding into the Symbiont World thing. Yeah, so you get sidetracked easily. So I wanted a specific type of waves for this one, so not like I did in my tests. But how do I do that? So when in doubt, watch a Studio Ghibli movie, and you'll find the answer. So this is, if you know it, it's from Porco Rosso. It's one of my favorite movies from Studio Ghibli. So I was dissecting all those elements that went into creating this wave that I did. So once again, you can see like a separate Blender scene, not everything at once, don't get overwhelmed, but it has more or less the lighting setup that I used for my film, because the colors are like important to nail that right away in Grease Pencil. So I started with the foam, just hand painted, like a stroke with noise, hand colored a light and shadow side. Then you just add the water, like that's sprouting up, with basically like a rough gradient from light to dark. Then like those wind streaks to make it move like make it seem like it's moving forward. And then some tiny splatters in front and behind the wave. And so all of these were separate Grease Pencil objects, all looped and with like noise modifiers. And I love these modifiers because you do one thing and it looks like it's smoothing. It's awesome. So on top you see also like this tube that is following that is following the wave. It's just a simple mesh with like the same shader that I used for the trees, and animated displacement modifier, and this was attached to the wave. So I grabbed everything of that, and in one collection. Then I put it instant that collection, so I had like these objects that I couldn't touch anymore, and I attached them to the edges of the wings, right? And when just keyframed animated it, when the wings are touching the water, then I scale this wave up, and when it soars and it's not touching the water anymore, then I scale it down. And so all in all, like I learned, like there is no one solution to anything, and sometimes there's not even like a paved way for anything. Overall, grease pencil, it was a game changer for me. Like it allowed me to add a lot of detail and movement, like in the shot, where you can see like the waves and the water streaks, and like where the ruins stick out of the water, and a lot of details on the bridge. And I also looked in on the left, like this, also the orca, reusing the assets that I thought I couldn't use. So like I said, grease pencil was a game changer for me, and helped me hopefully to gel the look together for like 3D with a hand-drawn touch. So I could talk about this forever, but what does the future hold for me and Symbiont World is organic architecture, working procedurally, with also obviously more grease pencil, also more bad guys sucking the energy from our Earth, exploring like everyday life with a symbiosis of like nature and technology, like those beehives. So Symbiont World is like an infinite playground of like more engineering, more robotic animals, and more solar panels. So I'll be using my newfound knowledge to infuse like client projects with the positivity of solarpunk, and I'll be partnering with Focal Point School to teach those workflows and help students create their own stylized animated stories. So I want to end this talk by saying that I learned what is achievable in this short amount of time with resilience, perseverance, and a lot of tricks. And first I thought, honestly, this like a cool portfolio piece, and NVIDIA's featuring it, and like just do it for exposure, right? But I learned something much more important, because it felt deeply personal creating this, like from the travels that sparked this idea to the characters of Symbiont World that were inspired by my family, the ups and downs of life. I want to spread like a positive spread some positivity with that. Actually, the text is like, what is the text here? Okay, whatever. I had a very cool quote, and I totally forgot it. But I want to spread some hope with that. Like solarpunk is the opposite of cyberpunk, and it's like a positive future, especially in our like adventurous times. Let's put it like that. It's important to spread some hope, to keep working, to dream of a better future. And I want to say, like, stay tuned for more positivity, and thank you for watching.